If any of you guys are looking to learn more about Bubble, whether you're a beginner or a professional looking to get certifications and take your skills to the next level, you got to check out NoCodeAlliance. It's been a personal project of mine for the last 2 to 3 years. I have 5 different courses there, all focusing on Bubble and taking you from zero to pro. And these courses tell you everything you need to know to start earning 6 figures as a Bubble developer. So go to NoCodeAlliance.org, either get started with the beginner course or take our package and go from zero to pro in the next 3 to 6 months, and you won't regret it. That's NoCodeAlliance.org. Back to the show.
We wanted to create something that can be used by developers as well, because it's not good enough that you build a workflow that doesn't scale, right? You want to build something that is backend reliable and scalable as your company and the product grows.
Welcome back to This Week in No Code and AI. I'm your host, JJ Englert, here with my co-host, David Pal. We have another fantastic show for you this week in No Code and AI. We are bringing on a very special CEO from Buildship. We're going to have a wonderful interview with her later in the show, just about 15 minutes from now. But first, we have some AI and no-code news that we got to tell you about. So, David, why don't you get us started on top of the day? What do we got?
All right, let's talk about peering under the kimono. So part of the deal, Microsoft's investment into
OpenAI,
was that Microsoft can see OpenAI's code for anything that's been released,
which is crazy.
Which is a pretty insane value, but I guess that's what you get for however many billions of dollars.
Yeah,
right. They're going all in, I guess, on OpenAI, right? And so what's interesting is that as the world has changed and people have shifted seats, lots of acquisitions, lots of people joining. The founder of DeepMind, Google's old AI lab, right, that's now running a lot of Google's AI products and spreading it throughout their company, is now the head of AI efforts at Microsoft, which means that this well-respected, top dog in AI now gets to see everything that OpenAI is doing. And it made some news this week because it's a strange position where, obviously they can't see all the top secret research stuff, but everything that is proprietary and the secret algorithms that make ChatGPT better than the other chat models are now at Microsoft's fingertips.
Right. And did I hear it right that Microsoft is also trying to spin up their own GP4-like models as well?
Microsoft has always been trying to lower their reliance on everyone else. And so this is a pretty wild move that they can do this. Again, OpenAI is betting that they're always going to be ahead, right? Like they just have the talent and the knowledge and the people that will always keep them ahead of anyone else, whatever they release.
That's a cocky move right there.
They're
going up against Microsoft.
They are.
Against Microsoft,
they're not quite wrong. Yeah, that is a long bet that they have to keep running at. And so it's a strange relationship. I thought it was an interesting point to bring up, but maybe it's causing a little bit of tension between the two. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to happen.
I feel like the only real way out of this now is a full acquisition, because it's like they've already put so many billions of dollars into it. They can now access pretty much all of the code or see a lot of it, and then they can just spin off their stuff and make their own stuff till eventually maybe they kill their own investment. It's really weird. But they just wanted to, I think, it's either going to be you winning or we're winning. Either way, we're going to win because we've invested in both, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think Microsoft is going to win in the long run. What? OpenAI is worth $100 billion, let's say $90 billion or something, maybe even less. I think they may have taken a little haircut. They did $3 billion last quarter, half the year. they're growing. They're like doubling their revenue year over year. It's still small compared to what Microsoft is doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like we look at OpenAI as the future and AI as the future, but there's still a heck of a lot of normal code that's being written and software that's being purchased. And in fact, I was reading an article about Jensen Huang, or I don't know how to pronounce his last name properly, the CEO of NVIDIA, what is keeping him up at night. And in fact, what's keeping him up at night is, as of Christmas, when they're reporting this from, is the lack of data centers. Like
Wow.
they're running, there aren't enough places to put these and not enough power to power these chips.
Wow.
And so they're restricting sales to make sure that these chips actually get into use and not, just sit on the sideline somewhere. But people like OpenAI, AWS, and Oracle, like they still have growth in non-AI sectors, right? Like they still need more data centers for everything else. And so it's not like everything else is just sitting by the wayside and OpenAI is everything, right?
Sure.
Everyone else is also growing. And so, just something that, Microsoft is so much bigger, right? Still and growing.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next move. Yeah. Apple suspends work on Vision Pro 2 amid slowing sales. Man, we did a couple segments on Apple Vision 2 earlier when it launched. I went to the store, I tried it out. Freaking so cool, but it's just so much money. It's just not there yet. Like it's just a pipe dream. And they were originally hoping to sell around 800,000 units in 2024. And now they're coming in at around, ideally, hopefully around 400,000. So half of that. And that's just leading them to say, you know what, we're not going to develop Apple Vision Pro 2. We're going to make a Apple Vision Air model that is half the cost while still keeping the premium features in there to hopefully get it in the hands of more people. And yeah, this makes so much sense. I mean, I think it might just be one of those things where Apple just needed to come out and just show everyone like, hey, this is what a world-class experience looks like. And now we're going to tame it back now that we have like our prototype or like our vision out of the way. Now we're going to make it more realistic, and it's going to be kind of like Tesla did with that. They came out with like their Speedster first, and then it's like, okay, now a mainstream model coming out for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they might as well test to see how well it does, right? Like if for whatever reason it comes out and the world is like, everyone needs one, they're all this huge adoption, that's great. Like you also can't come out as Apple with a half-assed product because no one's going to take you seriously. Like that's especially a brand problem. Yeah. So like the iPhones were expensive, then you got the SEs, right? Like the lower model. Then they eventually like kind of iteratively bounce their way up. Prices eventually moved back up to those prices. I mean, I was curious how much. So 800,000 units still sounds like a lot of stuff. They sell like 190 million iPhones a year, 200 million iPhones a year. So like, this is
like a little hobby department for them, It's like all the guys over there, in their little unit just testing things out.
Yeah, but they probably spent, I don't know, 10x the marketing dollars that they have actually made just to get the word out that they're doing these things.
Sure. I was thinking about it today. I was just like, one of the great things about the Pro Vision headset is seeing it. And then it's like immediately I just want to take it off and hand it to the person next to me so they could see it too. And it's not like that yet. Like it needs calibration and everything. Like you can't really do that yet. And it's just like that sharing, which is like, all right, you just made incredible technology. That's great. But like, I want to share it with other people. I don't want to just all for myself. And right now it's only all for yourself. And it really misses that sharing component. And I think even with the Air model, they need to make it so it is more just universal. Like you can hop in and have a great experience kind of thing. And more people can have it. And your whole family can kind of do it together and interact with it. Like it needs to get there to be realistic, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't tried it. It seems cool. I wouldn't buy it at $1,000 either. So I'm not the right audience.
Yeah. I think the $1,600 mark is still too high for it, frankly. Why don't we move on to the next one, because this came out it's fresh off the burner right now.
Fresh off the burner.
And
we're gonna follow this.
It makes a lot more sense now, what's going on. So what do we got, David?
All right. So we have SSI Inc. has launched Safe Superintelligence Incorporated, co-founded by, or founded, I don't know what his title is now, by the co-founder of OpenAI. Ilya has come and said, hey, I'm going to prioritize my new work to aim at building safe AI systems. This is with Daniel Gross and Daniel Levy, not from Schitt's Creek, but also from OpenAI. So an Apple AI lead and another OpenAI model trainer. They have come out and said, hey, we're going to put together this super safe super intelligence. I don't know what kind of impact this is going to make. Like, this is drawing a line in the sand that, hey, we think super intelligence needs to be managed and controlled. And in theory, they will be building tools to help people like OpenAI and Microsoft and Cohere and Anthropic and Perplexity build safe tools.
Yeah.
I just don't know that OpenAI is going to care.
You know why he left OpenAI now. I mean, it seemingly is he wanted to build safe things, and they didn't seemingly want to prioritize that as much.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be why a lot of people left. Not everyone's left. A small group of people left, and so they're trying to lead on this. I don't know. Maybe I hope this is actually something that becomes helpful.
Here's a quote from it. It says, at the most basic level, safe superintelligence should have the property that it will not harm humanity at a large scale. After this, we can say we would like it to be a force for good. So take that for what you like. You know, if you look at like antivirus, programs, stuff like that they have in your computer, like firewalls, things like that like help you stay safe. Maybe this is like a form of that. So like, hey, I have this crazy radical LLM. I'm going to throw super safe intelligence on it, and it's just going to help make sure that I don't destroy the world along the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I just can't imagine the government coming and saying, well, everyone needs to run their models through super safe intelligence or safe super intelligence.
You don't think so? I mean, there's regulation. Everyone wants to throw regulation on it. They're looking for somebody to kind of give them some kind of safeguards. And
I don't think it's going to be a third-party startup that's smaller than the big. It would be Microsoft, if anything, that would say, "Hey, we need you to put these."
I mean, with his name and his reputation, they're going to get massive investment. And
I'm not worried about them building a business backed by venture capitalists. I just don't know how much.
And then it would just get acquired by a NVIDIA or a Microsoft,
and then shut down.
Or something like that. and then just rolled up into other software. Yeah. 100%.
I mean, maybe, but like, I think we should have an interesting. It is worth having a conversation about national security and bad actors globally and how that plays into AI and the control of AI. I don't know that I can't see a world where this makes a significant impact.
Interesting.
I just think it's hey, look at me. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and build a super safe. They should have called it super safe, super intelligence. I don't know why they didn't. What the heck? Safe super intelligence.
Super
company.
Safe intelligence.
Super safe intelligence. Sounds way better, but I understand what they were aiming
I love how they're just like super intelligence. Like that's kind of where
they're rebranding AGI basically.
Yeah.
It's just not like it doesn't. It's like
creating rules for AGI of just like, okay, you're now AGI, you're a thing, but here are the laws that you have to abide by as an AGI citizen.
Yeah, I don't know. They claimed they're calling this safety similar to like nuclear safety, and I'm thinking like it seems to be like their attempt at building a safety system for an atomic bomb is building a non-atomic bomb. Like, it doesn't actually help you with the atomic bomb problem. It just builds you a different kind of bomb you could use. Like, it's just not, I don't know. They're just two different paths. Like, they're parallel systems. I just don't see them.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. We'll be following it here on This Week in No Code and AI, as we do with all things. I think another fun slate of news. Things are really moving quickly. I put it out on Twitter the other day, like asking, are we in a golden age for technology right now, where it just feels like we have every tool at our disposal? You know, whatever you need to do, there's probably even a free plan for it. You know, like we even have all the tools and they're also very affordable too. So it's just like, what a good time to be a creator, a business owner, leveraging technology, a founder, whatever it may be, just any way that you need to have some kind of technology. Even if you weren't or aren't technical, you can still use the technology that's out today. And that's really fun. And I think we're just going to continue to see that get lower and lower and lower till eventually everyone has their iPhone camera shooting videos / making programs and calling APIs and AI functions, all that kind of stuff. I think we're going to get there, right?
I'm just looking forward.
Maybe it's just they're going to be interacting through their AGI, like voice bot assistant, that is just going to be the one doing all that for them, and they don't even know what they're doing. But like they're just saying, "Hey, I go book me these tickets and do this," and which then sets off this series of automations and APIs, etc. I don't know, but we're like, we're going to be all developers.
Find out.
Yeah. All right. Should we get on to our interview then?
Let's go into the interview. Yeah. Let's bring Harini up. For all of you out there listening, if you are in the market for any kind of software development needs, check out Studio No Code. It's our agency that's built on Bubble experts with nearly a decade of experience building all kinds of Bubble apps. Marketplace, social network, payroll company, catering business, data room, ad tech, legal tech. We got a little bit of everything. We've seen it all, and that helps us translate all of our knowledge into your app to build the best product for your customers. We built it professionally, we built it to be secure, and we built it to scale. And we're going to do all these things on time and on budget. So if you are looking for help getting off the ground, getting something to market, or anything in between, give us a call or an email or a carrier pigeon or whatever you want. studio-nocode.com. We'll probably be there. And here we are this week with Harini from Buildship. Thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love this show that JJ and you are running, so great to be here.
Absolutely. So why don't you kick it off? Give us a little bit of a background of you. Like, if I was to look through your LinkedIn or resume, what would I find there?
Okay, sure. So, I mean, obviously, I'm originally from India. I went to US to do masters in computer engineering. And then I've been a software engineer all my career in that sense, where I started off my career in BlackRock. I was in the data engineering team there specifically, and then eventually grew up that career ladder to be VP of data engineering specifically in New York office, and then moved to Asia Pacific region to expand their team in Singapore, Australia, and India. But as a kind of software engineer, always building and tinkering on the side, but never really jumped into startup ecosystem. So after BlackRock, I joined an early stage VC, which literally funded lots of thousands of founders in their 0 to 1 product build journey, where I got to see a lot of founders building exciting products. I also met my co-founder there, Shams, and we kind of tinkering and building things. And so after that, effectively, in being in that space just makes you want to build as well. And then we started our founding journey with ROE initially, where ROE is a product that lets low-code, no-code builders manage their data in a spreadsheet like UI. That's kind of like a common problem where only software engineers or developers have access to database. Non-technical folks ask for access. It's back and forth on Excel spreadsheets. So we kind of have a nice permission control UI on the database itself. And so that's how we started. And then it organically.
When was that?
So that was in 2021. Right out after I had my baby as well. So it's like two startups starting at the same time.
That is crazy because essentially you have two startups then.
Yeah, it's literally a twin. So yeah, that was good because gave us that kind of momentum to build in that ecosystem of low coders and no coders. And we saw this common pain point come up again and again where, okay, managing your database is great, but then you want to build functionality on top of it. If this data can just do this and do that and so on. And we have this feature called derivative functions on ROE, which actually was really heavily being used. But then the no coders and the low coder segment were struggling with that because it actually requires you to code. So as a natural evolution of ROE is where we started building Buildship end of kind of last year. We launched it end of last year, but effectively it allows you to go from plain English, tell what you want to build, and then launch your workflows and backend functions and APIs. And that has been really helpful with that AI momentum as well, where LLMs enable us to do this. We have added our kind of knowledge from all the things we have been doing so far in this ecosystem. And so, yeah, Buildship has been amazing so far in terms of rapid growth and adoption and just plain proof point that there's a demand for such a thing.
How did you get started with the no code, low code ecosystem? I know you identified a need of just it's hard to access this data. Were you already aware of this industry, or did you find this industry through solving the problem with ROE? How did it come up?
Yeah, so we kind of had this problem ourselves. So in our previous jobs, and we had like this problem where we built some app or product, and then people wanted access to it, like operational members or marketing, and they needed access to specific tables. And then obviously you can't give them access to production data. You have to give access, control on that. They can only read and so on. So that's how we started building ROE. But then there are all these scenarios where product managers, for example, want to build logical flows, right? They don't, it's not like a full-fledged backend that they are building, but they can write workflows on top of database. So that's kind of one kind of use case that evolved. And then there's all these other natural use cases on top of database connected to all the other tools in your ecosystem, right? Like if you are a company building something, you have like tens of tools, and then you have multiple kind of databases connected to your product. You want to build workflows on it. So that's kind of where it evolved. And then we wanted to create something that can be used by developers as well, because it's not good enough that you build a workflow that doesn't scale, right? Like you want to build something that is back-end reliable and scalable as your company and the product grows. So yeah, that's kind of where we started interacting more with the no-code, low-code segment. Even developers who wanted to do rapid building, right? They wanted to build it in a way where you can start building in that no-code easy format, but then you need to have full code access anytime you need to make custom things. And then as your product grows, you want to have that scalability. So most of the people in our team are developers as well. And when we start using a product, we look for that flexibility. And so we kind of have been always in that zone of merging that ease of no code with the power of low code so that you don't feel in a black box situation anytime.
Yeah, interesting. I think a lot of no code tools are targeted specifically at the person who cannot code at all.
Yeah.
And eventually what we see a lot with Bubble specifically is that people kind of learn a little bit of code along the way, right? They need something for whatever reason, but a lot of the time the tool doesn't let them get into the code, right? For what, you can't add custom code really easily, or not in a first class way, at least. And then people kind of grow up and go, well, I need a better tool. I need like not just a new tool. I need the prosumer tool. And so it sounds like Buildship is really developer friendly in that, like, whether or not you're a coder or a no coder and you know code or you don't know code, you can use this at whatever, I guess, depth that you might need. Is that right?
Exactly. So I think we basically didn't want that feeling of, oh my God, I'm stuck now. I can't build after this. What should I do? Like I have to move this away to another system and do it. So even if you're coming as a no coder into Buildship, we give these easy templates and pre-built nodes that you can start with so that you don't have to deal with code. But what ends up happening is people in that process, because they can look at the code for everything in Buildship, they learn kind of things. They can make small changes because there's AI Copilot kind of help anytime they need. So they kind of generate their own logic by telling what they want, and in the process learn how to code. And then we have the developers coming into the platform as well, which is interesting because they want an easy way to ship fast, but they want that full power, right? They want to feel like they're in control. And in that sense, they are able to look at the code and make changes and make everything their own.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I'm someone that doesn't know code, but I've found my way around Buildship quite well. I think one of the things I love most is the AI functionality where you can just build your own nodes, because it's like you have so many great options, but sometimes you just need something that's not there, and I don't know how to actually code it. So with the AI option, I can have AI build that node for me, which I thought was tremendous. I have a way of describing Buildship, and I want to ask you if this is the right way or not. You let me know.
I was going to ask what.
All right. So my thought about a really simple way for like to tell people is it is the scalable version of Zapier. So it's like the professional version of Zapier kind of way of just like you can connect things together, create these automations, but it could be more trustworthy and it could be better for performance and scale. And it gives you those more professional options. Like, you know, if this LLM is down, run another LLM, and different kinds of things that just allow you to build more production ready systems.
Yeah, I
What do
mean,
you
that
think?
sounds great. But yeah, I mean, see, Zapier is great. They have lots of connectors. Yeah, so I mean, I think they have made really great product for tackling certain type of use cases, like for more operational and that kind of use case is really solid. But
Very
then
common, very easy use cases.
yeah, and when it comes to product building or like using it as a backend, it's definitely not scalable. The price point is not approachable. And even beyond that, the customization is not there, right? Like, so
Right.
with Buildship, we are giving that dev tooling around it. So you have all the things that a developer or like someone who can think like a developer would need to build a product, right? That's all. So we have like version control and logs and ability for you to look at the code, tweak, and so on. So that's kind of makes it more towards the backend building space. And obviously, you can create APIs and workflows and things like that and plug it into any front-end building platform that you're choosing, be it no code or even like a code platform. So that's kind of where we are different.
So do you guys have, I know you started with Rowie, which was really a back-end spreadsheet-ish thingy. Yeah. I don't know. That's not the descriptive term for it, but you know, kind of back-end. Do you also have a database built into Buildship, or would I connect to like an Airtable to grab data, or is this just a middleware connecting between things?
Yeah, so we wanted to approach this with that flexibility mindset again, right? So we have a ready-to-use Buildship database that is like pre-configured, nothing to do. Like it gives you that Airtable like table experience if you really want. But then you can also connect to your existing database. So if you're using Airtable or even Notion or even like Supabase or Firebase, Postgres, MySQL, MongoDB, we have a lot of connections to all these other databases. So you can stay on your own existing database and then build on Buildship. So it's your choice and flexibility.
Is that why you made two different companies and not just add workflows to Rowie kind of thing?
Yeah, so Rowie is very much tied to that, Firebase and that ecosystem. So it's actually still in a growing product and it's evolving. But the thing is with Rowie, you get the use case is kind of limited and scoped out to that use case, which is if you have a database and you want a spreadsheet view, it's good for that. We didn't want to mix in Buildship on top of it and confuse that existing user base. The scope of Buildship is much broader, right? It can effectively let you build your entire backend logic flow, and it not tech stack style. It's very agnostic to anything, right? So it's the same company. So it's Rowie Inc. is for in a company name. It's kind of the Buildship is our product right now.
Let's talk about some like specifics. What when you set out to when you were starting to build Buildship, what was the first like actual use case? Like what was the first, I don't know what you call I guess a workflow or automation. What was built first?
So the very first use case we have is API building. So we can start with a trigger, which is the API connector. And then you can effectively say anytime this endpoint is called, do a bunch of things. So you can have like a get request or a post request. And that really was catered towards that use case of you get instant API URL, and then you can plug this URL anywhere you want, right? So that is what we started with. And then effectively we started adding more kind of use cases catered towards product building. So we have the Stripe trigger, for example. So you can say every time a new subscription is created, deleted, or updated, do these workflows. We have like almost all the payment systems now. So Revenue Cat, Lemon Squeezy, and whatnot. So we have like all these starting points of your workflow, but effectively you can think of workflow like give an input, a bunch of things run, and output. And we have these nodes which are more powerful than like a typical workflow. So you can do loops, for example, you can do parallel, you can do switch, and on all these kind of development compute kind of blocks that makes it more effective. Yeah.
And this is all meant for whoever's building this is building this not as a SaaS, but maybe part of a SaaS application. Yeah. Right? Like the API, for example, like I'm thinking about
just workflows, any kind of automations, whatever you need, really. You can use it for.
Okay. But yeah, for the Stripe, for example, using Stripe as a trigger, I might need to I can only use one Stripe key per automation.
Yeah. So you're basically like, if you have a product and you're collecting payments and you want some things to happen every time a new subscription is created, you will be connected to that. Obviously, you're connected to that Stripe payment API key. And then that key is stored on the back end in a workflow securely. It's not exposed on your front end. That way you can trigger, okay, payments has come through successfully. Now what do I do? You can do parallelly a bunch of things like email that person something, or like even you can build like a complete SaaS on, we have like a micro SaaS template where you can build the whole thing where they make the purchase and you can email them as some assets like an ebook or whatever, right?
Got it.
You can even build like a WhatsApp bot where you run your entire platform where you can answer a few questions for free. And then after that, you send a Stripe URL to them to complete the payment to further kind of engage with them. So you can have that interface with the user anywhere. It can be a chatbot, it can be like a, Flutterflow app, Bubble app, and whatnot. And also even like a simple website, right, on Webflow or Framer. And then you can have the backend this way running and serving some purpose.
David, for the bubblers out there, when you say schedule API workflow, that's literally what this is. You're scheduling a workflow in Buildship. You're just hitting a different API URL than what Bubble has with its built in, right? Yeah. So just think of it that way. But if you wanted more control and potentially scale on your workflows at that level than what Bubble would offer, like I love using Buildship when I need like really complex workflows and I want to build in like if this workflow fails, then it's going to go and run like error checking and all this kind of stuff to like really make sure that this workflow is going to hold up at scale. That's when I'd probably get out of Bubble and do it in Buildship. Or if I need more controls with my APIs and be able to, change my data around more, whether formatting it or whatever I need to do. Sometimes there's more tools in Buildship that way for me too.
Yeah.
So it's just like a great toolkit to have in your stack of just like, there's so many things it can do. Usually when I have an idea, I usually go to Buildship first. And with the AI prompts and everything, I just start building it together there just to see if I can put it together because it's so quick. And they have so many integrations that are so powerful already that it's just like, it makes it really, really fun.
Yeah, it was great to hear.
Are there any fun workflows that you've built yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I recently built one. We do these weekly demos within our team where we showcase something cool. We either use it ourselves or something we want to showcase to others. So I was like, we have this linear that we use heavily for tracking projects and stuff. So we wanted to create like an easy way to publish change log where we can take all the recent changes specifically on the UI level that we want to showcase. So it kind of summarizes based on all the updates that have gone out in the last 1 week and posts to our internal Discord. Then the marketing team can effectively pick and choose the best kind of things to showcase. So it makes that process easy. So there are internal use cases like that. And we also have like more, interesting use cases where folks want to share a remix link of what they have built. That's something we recently released as well, which led to a lot of interesting remix links to be shared. So you can create a workflow and share with anyone, and they can clone it in one click, and they just plug in their ideas, like the API keys, and they can
cool.
ship it.
That's super easy to share. And it's like, hey, if you need help on forms or whatever, it's like, hey, I just built this for you. Here it is, kind of thing, and I can remix that and just keep going.
Yeah. We also had like one user which recently did so they have like a Excel sheet with more than 2,500 rows of data, and they wanted to run like a Perplexity API call on each of the values. So essentially, they were able to connect it with our sheets and the Perplexity API node and put it in a loop. They can also chunk it into running parallelly 100 at a time, and they were able to populate the second column with that. So that kind of fluid way to chunk and do things rather than doing one at a time. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you see most people building automations for their business, or is this part of their application and their product?
Yeah,
or
so
just people automating their life?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. So I would say like people, when they hit the limits of Zapier or other tools in that sense, when they have operational use cases, that's where we have seen that coming in, where it's internal or like operational use case. And then mostly it's for the product building use case. So if you're building on like Firebase or Superbase and you're building logic flows on that, we have a lot of those use cases. We have also have these new AI assistant builder recently, which allows you to create like an instant chatbot on any data source or tool. But instead of doing function callings and tool with code, you can do it in no code style, where you connect anything to your assistant and you can start interacting with your data, for example. Or you can
So you essentially just connect it to your database.
Yeah.
It can understand that database, and you can just start talking to it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can connect it to your tools like Google Calendar, for example, and then your assistant is a chat widget which can take appointments, for example. Or you can effectively put that chat bot in like WordPress or Webflow or Frame or like a plugin, and then it can either be a knowledge repository based support, or it can even take bookings, or it can like interact with your product catalog in a meaningful way. Like you can ask questions like, give me all the sofas under $100 or something like that. So yeah, things like that. So it's very flexible tool, but we have interesting use cases also where there's a construction company using it because they have an archaic API that they need to connect with, and they have standard tools, and then they have this other API, so they're able to mix and match both the things that they need.
And yeah, so I want to just like try play with all these things. I have all these ideas running through my head right now.
It really is like one of those things where you just start building stuff with it, because it really is so powerful and fun.
Yeah, there are so many cool things that you can do.
Yeah, and the thing is that as AI LLMs are evolving, this thing is going to get better and better. Like future versions of this will have even better. For example, with the recent GPT-4o launch, our node generation process is much more faster now. Previously, it used to take a few more seconds, obviously 30 seconds or less kind of a thing. So yeah, as we're continuously evolving the platform since day one to now. It has tremendously improved. We have a lot of, we actually use Buildship itself for our own backend, so it's kind of production ready and getting out of beta soon. So that's exciting.
And can I use like, I know lots of integrations with other like dev tools, but what about things like Yelp or Google search for like shopping, or Shopify? I don't know where else I'd be searching for things, but Yelp, for example.
Yeah.
Can I say, hey, I'm looking for a restaurant, in this area? Is that the kind of node that I can build?
Yeah. So Yelp, you can basically take the documentation of Yelp API, like, if they have a code snippet, and you can simply say, okay, given a city, I want to find all the restaurants in the city, use this API as an example, and just pop that whole thing in, and it'll generate a node where it'll have this new no code UI for you, where it'll just ask like a form type of filling. But then if you go and look at the code, you'll see that it's actually using the API and so on. So you have like a way to test individual nodes, make sure it's perfect, can iteratively update it with AI. And then when you are satisfied with that node, you can start using it in your workflows.
It's like an AI way to create the API connector in Bubble. It's like, hey, create an API for me via NoCode. Yeah, exactly. And so What about like I got a couple more questions in terms of have you seen a use case from a customer or client that is just like, wow, that makes so much sense that you can talk about that you're really proud of maybe?
Yeah. So we have like a lot of, long tail of founders, builders using it, right? Like we have, for example, um, like a product company that is selling a bunch of, e-commerce kind of products, but they are actually using Buildship to build their workflows in a heavy load kind of scenario where processing not just the payments, but also processing very much so they connected to the Shopify API, so they are able to generate all of the catalog images and stuff and upload to the data set. So things like that. You also have like a world's largest health organization. I'm not able to say the name, but they actually use Buildship across 100 plus countries to effectively manage like the admin process of documentation retrieval, right? Like if they have a question, the internal team or ask questions and they're able to retrieve, okay, this document has this information and so on. So that kind of use case. So we have a mix of a lot of founders, builders, early stage startups, as well as a bunch of other enterprise large customers using, because what's interesting here is that every Buildship project is a Google Cloud project under the hood for you. And then what's more interesting is you can bring your own Google Cloud project. So if you're someone who cares about a large organization, data privacy and security, and you want to make sure it's in your own project, you're able to connect Buildship to your own project, and then you can build on top of it. So we have a plan that fits a user of all scales. So you can start with Buildship. As you continue to grow and scale, you can move the project to your own ownership and continue to build on it. Or if you want to bring your own existing Google Cloud project or a platform where you want to deploy the Google Buildship workflows to, you can do that as well. So that's kind of what is exciting here.
Does that mean one of the things that we talked about a while ago, and lots of no coders like to, or lots of developers like to point to no code as one of its major flaws, is this export problem?
Yeah.
Right. Like you get locked into Bubble, you're on Bubble. That's it.
Yeah.
Is Buildship exportable? Is it portable to other clouds? Like how do you handle that?
So yeah, exactly. That's it. No, that's something definitely we wanted to solve as well, which is you want to have that experience where you don't feel locked in and you're like stuck, right? So you can start with Buildship Cloud as a way to easily build without having to figure out too much configuration. But if you want in our kind of scale plans, you can effectively ship to your own project. You can ship, it's a Kubernetes-based container kind of system. So you're able to deploy it to your own private cloud, for example, GCP or AWS and so on. And that way you can also connect it to Git, for example, and then you can deploy the workflows. You can make sure the code approval process that you might have in your company is kind of the typical workflow for it. You are able to do all of that. In the current version, obviously, we have for you to use Buildship Cloud or the Google Cloud of your own. And we have in our roadmap all these other kind of things coming as well.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. Yeah, I love that.
The ability, like if you go, you're a solo founder and you're building a MVP, you get lots of traction, lots of growth, and you're like, all right, great, let me hire a team.
Yeah.
The team can then take over and continue what you've done. I think a lot of not a lot, VCs are coming around to no code.
Yeah.
But there's always the VC every now and again who's like, well, I'd rather you own the code or see the code or like at least know what's going on. And this is a great, great transition.
Exactly. So I think the code that is generated here is not like some proprietary code stack that we're using. It's JavaScript, TypeScript. Everybody's familiar with the most common talent is available on it. So you can bring developers on board, build a team around it. They can continue to use on Buildship. So you can think of in that scenario, Buildship almost like a evolved new version of a IDE, like a code editor, but it's more modular, granular, and maintainable in that sense.
Yeah.
This framework
easier to work with, but still have the access to the code.
Yeah, exactly.
This framework is exactly what I mean by no code is the window into AI, right? It's the IDE, it's the development experience that lets the average person access AI without any kind of weird, like funhouse mirrors of just, like some random proprietary stuff in the middle. And like, this is what this is how people should be interacting with AI,
Yeah.
like the average person.
Yeah, I mean, everybody in the future, like everybody will be a developer and will be using AI to generate code, right? But if you think about it, like, even now, it doesn't make sense. You remember the code syntax of how do you do this, an object and inside an array and this and that, right? Like the part of remembering the syntax and all the kind of nitty-gritty details, AI makes it super easy. You should just be thinking about logic, how you actually building, and that is where we are wanting I think the interface of no code and the AI combined makes that problem super easy to solve. And then when you have that ability to look at the code as well to make sure the AI is not hallucinating and actually doing exactly what you want, that is also that layer of visibility, transparency that is needed, right? So that's where we think future is going.
It's the combination of all three, where it's like you still have the power of code, but it's an easy way to capture the magic of AI in a no-code interface, right?
Yeah.
And again, like I don't know how to code, but I still feel a little intimidated because it's so powerful, but the AI capabilities in it really helped me out, and I've been able to build some great stuff. One of the things that I built was the blog to video. Was it a YouTube video to SEO optimized blog article converter, right? So I had 50 little videos that I just converted within like 10 minutes to 50 different SEO optimized blog articles that are now on NoCodeAlliance using Buildship to do all of that, right? And that was my first build with it. And so, it was really neat in that way.
Yeah.
How about your team and like, what is your traction for the company? How big are you guys? Are you looking to raise more money? Like, what does it look like at Buildship in the next year or two?
Yeah, so we are a team of about 17 folks right now. We are fully remote and
growing.
Yeah, growing. We are a global remote team. We have teammates across the world, literally. We raised from meaningful folks that are part of our journey. So we are part of AI grant with Nat Friedman, was ex-CEO of GitHub, and we have Versal CEO and a bunch of others who are in that zone of AI developer, helping the ecosystem of builder space. So they're really helping us in that sense. And then we're in a good place financially to take this vision to the next level overall. So that's kind of where we are at in our journey. We see this as a way for, as you exactly said, a way for folks to also get into building. So this whole new wave of builders are emerging powered by AI, which is even more exciting and evolving space. So it's almost like a learning platform. Actually, we have lots of universities using Buildship. Some of them actually even using that in their mobile development course and the courses which require like an easy way to have a backend. Because what's interesting here is that that flexibility of looking at the code, learning and making that process easy has been really helpful for them. So yeah, we are excited about the space overall of helping the future of building. And we love to collaborate with various folks. So you might have seen us collaborating with a lot of front-end building platforms because it makes a lot of sense for us to showcase the power of different combination of tools.
That's this is awesome. I have so many things I want to build. Never enough time. Do you have, so talk about the community for a second. Do you have an expert community? Do you have partner agencies that when people ask who can help me build this, that you refer people to? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we have all that, right? So we have a Discord community, which is more like, folks hanging out, building things and ideating. And we also have support there. We have dedicated technical support as well via the app itself. We have an expert network, folks you can hire for building just specific workflows, for example, or even consultation calls or building your entire product backend. So we have like folks offering different services that way. We have a lot of agencies using Buildship because it's a really repeatable, easy to use stack for them. And they are able to have multiple projects. And we have agency kind of plans as well where they can collaborate with us. And that makes it easy for folks to hand over the projects to the clients. Yeah.
Think of it like global workflows, David. Like you build a workflow once and then for each product you do, you can just hit that again, or maybe just duplicate it and just change a step, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
I think the best place for people to also start is that we have lots of templates where for common use cases. So instead of like starting from scratch, blank slate problem, you can effectively start from a template and start get an idea of what it is.
That's cool. What do you think about the future, where we are going with no code AI code? We're starting to see every company is an AI company now.
Yeah.
They're just throwing AI onto their name, in one way or the other, in their positioning. Is the hype here to stay? Like, what do you think about what's happening now and where we're going?
Yeah. I mean, see, AI is just, I mean, beyond the hype word, right? It's going to help in every product natively in almost like a hidden way in some cases where it like naturally people will expect it to be there. So for example, the way we use AI is like in the product, when you are in a point where you want some help, you want to build something, that's kind of where it comes in. It's not like just slapped all over just for the sake of it. So you will have like that experience of seeing AI everywhere. Might not be just called AI, right? It can be just like helper or like something where it just helps you in that native process of your building. You see that with the recent Apple launch where they didn't call it AI, right? Like they just make it like features and use cases where you can use things. So the future is just like how people don't set up their own cloud now. Everybody uses one of the existing public cloud platforms, right? Like that's how it will be, where AI would also be part of the product building process. They won't think of it like, let me use AI natively, right? Like every big company and small company and founder, everybody's thinking about how they can leverage AI to get to the next step faster and 10x their productivity, and it will be naturally helping them overall.
Even today, do you think that AI is just something that most people expect your company to have or company to have at this point? Or do you think we're not there yet?
So I would think,
Like AI feature sets and whatnot.
yeah. So in terms of feature sets, I would say that people would expect it to, if there are some things like helping people fill a form partially, right? They will expect AI to be there to help them along the way, like get them to their 70-80%, and then they do their work. Or AI would effectively be hidden behind the hoods, helping the user have a better experience when they are stuck, how it can help them. So instead of like the typical onboarding process where people have these pop-ups coming everywhere, those can be annoying. Instead, it could be that in the future it kind of figures out, hey, this user is in this part of the journey, now it's able to help give them useful information so that they don't get stuck. So that kind of experience we'll see a lot more of. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying today, does the consumer
Oh, yeah.
expect to have AI in your product? Do you think the consumers are already there where it's just like they expect AI at this point, or it's like not there yet, but maybe the majority of apps that they interact with, they expect AI?
So from consumer point of view, I think if they're coming to your product for solving a specific pain point, they're just looking for that. They don't care if it's AI is used or not. From their point of view, if your product is solving their problem well, that's all they're looking for. And if you're solving it better with use of AI, great. I think it's more to do with UX and the product experience and the way you design that experience for them, rather than forcing them and saying like, hey, we have used AI. That's not really going to be beneficial.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. It's like, yeah, we're still at that. It's still a balance where it's, if you're going to build something, it needs to solve a problem, and it can't just, you still don't want to just build it to build it kind of thing. Like we still just, AI or not, we're just building stuff to solve problems and to help our customers find a more successful experience. And if AI can help you with that, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Yeah, it's you have to balance it and mix it up in a way that is actually useful. So you can't just like generated text that very obviously looks like AI generated and give it to your user. If you can fine tune it and make it better and meaningful and valuable, then great. Otherwise, I think you need to figure out what your user will find value from.
Yeah, wonderful.
I agree with that.
Any last words before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I mean,
or any last things that you want to say?
So we recently launched the Remix Links, which is an easy way for folks to share the workflows that someone builds. And we're actually launching a competition on top of that as well, where You can share your remix links. If your remix links gets used a lot, then you get cash prize, and so on. So we'll share
cool.
that soon. But yeah, that's going to be an exciting way for folks to build quick, valuable workflows. You can even actually create like a Gumroad-based workflow behind a payment wall if you have creating something valuable. So we want to see a lot more folks building, sharing, and maybe deriving monetary value from it because they built something great.
And you guys were just built in 2023, right? Launched in 2023.
Yeah, we just launched end of 2023. But it's been amazing. I think the reason is that we've used a lot of infrastructure and the work we have done before, and then made it in that format that is valuable now for this type of user segment. So we have done a lot of like the backend work already, and then even though we launched end of 2023, our product is kind of in a much more stable state and then usable at actually being used in production in many places.
And moving really quickly. It's been very impressive to see how fast your team has been shipping.
Thank you. That's like amazing work by the rest of the team here. We have like a lot of great builders and designers in the team who have been doing a lot of hard work.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to continuing to use it for my builds. It's so fun in a lot of ways. David, we'll show you around as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show. It's always great talking to you. Big fan of what you guys are doing over there. And all the best.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and enjoy the show, and looking forward to the next one.
Awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a fantastic conversation, as always. I just love talking to her. She is just a rock star CEO. You got to see the people that invest in her company. It's big time people. And I think that just goes to show, the support and belief that they have in her, the confidence. I actually didn't know about her background, like leading the teams like that she did. Like that's a very, that's a great background, very smart woman. So it's always a pleasure.
Yeah. And I really do think, like, and I'll keep saying this, like no code, low code is the window pane. I think phrasing it as no code is the IDE for AI is just a great way to phrase it. And I think
what do you mean by IDE?
IDE is like a development environment, right? Okay. So this is like you're using VS Code to write your programs. Right. And they have tooling and they have all these like systems in place that make it easier for you to write code. Right. It's not really GitHub. It's, the program you use to actually write code. Like I use Sublime as like a text editor, but that's, I guess, could be used as an IDE. And I just think like this is it's a framework to build these projects. And I think that's what
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also makes sense how you're saying no code is IDEs for AI in that way, and just traditional code.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just all coming together. It's all being wrapped up in a beautiful sandwich for us to consume. I can't beat it,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to follow this. I'm sure there will be more like this. We see others in specific examples.
There's another one too that, what was it? It's kind of fallen off as of late. Shoot.
Well, like SynthFlow is like the IDE for voice agents.
Yeah.
What was it? What did you call it?
It's like it was like a workflow builder, like Buildship. It's like Fast something.
Fastly?
No, man. They were very popular for a minute, and then matter of fact, I haven't heard. Anyways, it's all good. They're popping up all over the place for a reason, because it's solving problems, right? Like this is the next thing. I think it's also interesting to see Zapier. They continue to lean into their super entry level, full stack capabilities, where we had you at automations. Now we've launched interfaces. Now we've launched tables. Now in a very, very simple way, you can spin up forms or little things like that to power your own thing, which is a great starting point. We're also seeing Airtable come together with, or want to be, a more full stack solution as well. They have data. They started in the database world, automation. Now they have more interfaces, and they're going to continue to build on that. I think we're seeing a lot of these players wrap themselves up into a full stack solution just because they see that there's been so much segmentation along the way. It's a way for them to, I think, capitalize on more of their journey and also to simplify things while also controlling more of their destiny. Sometimes as a front end builder or even as a back end builder, you're relying on other people in that way. And it's harder to control where you're trying to go. But if you can go full stack, it means you're going to take more resources. It's going to take you longer to get there because you got more things to work on, but you can control more of, the performance, all that kind of stuff every step of the way. So it's interesting.
To pick the right tool for the job.
Yeah. All right. So that's it for this week in No Code and AI. And David,
we'll see you next week in No Code and AI.
See you guys.
See ya.